Hi there, I'm Vicki James of Beyond Line Books and Thrive Hive, and today we're going to talk about finding your why, the 20-minute exercise that changes every business decision. And why we're doing that? Because your business should serve your life, not replace it. All right, let's get started. So if you've started your business recently, or maybe it's even been a while, you might have found yourself at some point with 60-hour work weeks, clients that maybe didn't quite gel with you, or doing things that you didn't sign up for. Does this sound familiar? Maybe you're just getting started and you don't know this yet, but you're in danger of going down this road if you don't first understand your why. So let's jump in. All right. So if you run across that issue where you're doing the work you don't enjoy, the business really isn't feeding your soul. It's the problem isn't your work ethic. It's actually probably the opposite. Your work ethic is too strong, but you don't have clarity on the why and the purpose, and you're not making decisions that help you really support what that is. So we're going to talk about a couple of different ways that you can get really clear on your why and your purpose so that as you make business decisions, they are in support of what you truly want, desire, and can make a difference doing versus things that feel busy or aren't quite in alignment with who you are. All right. So for me, this started when in actually 2023. It was the New Year's Day 2023. And I was reading Brene Brown's Dare to Lead at the time, and she has this value exercise within the book. And I went through the exercise and I found it kind of life-changing. And so you're looking at the actual poster I built and put on my vision board for 2023, that my values were integrity and make a difference, and that my intention was connections and fitness. Fitness doesn't quite fall into the business model here, but the rest of it applies today, 3 years later. And what happened is in early 2025, I lost my job and I knew I didn't want to go back to the corporate world. And so I started looking at, what kind of business do I choose to build that really resonates with who I am and is in concert with what I want to do. And it was with the integrity and the making a difference that I came up with Beyond Aligned Books and Thrive Hive. And when I stay focused on those two values, every decision I make with intention and no guilt. An example of that is I had somebody challenge me on my pricing, like, you need to raise your pricing. And I pushed back on that. And they were right in one respect. Could I raise my pricing? Yes, it would still be generally a good price, but it was out of alignment with my values because I wouldn't be able to make a difference with as many people if that little 30% jump actually priced people out of what I want to offer. And then also with integrity, it's like, yes, I need to make enough money in order to support my lifestyle and living, but I'm not trying to get rich off this business. I'm more interested in helping people. And so I was able to kind of look at my values and say, okay, helping more people means more to me than making huge dollar amounts. Granted, I still need to be able to pay the bills, but let's find that balance so that I can make a difference. And your business should serve your life, not replace it. This comes up a lot. And so when we go back to that earlier slide, we had the working 60 hours, clients that maybe rub us the wrong way. And we don't want to we didn't start our businesses for that reason. We started our businesses so that we could do something we love, supporting people and helping make their lives better, whether it's a product or a service. So let's focus on our why and our values so that we can keep on that path and not steer the other way. All right, so the two core values exercise. So like I said, this came from Brene Brown. You're going to get the link to the actual exercise on her website. I'm not trying to recreate any wheels. I'm so excited about this that we'll send you there. But it's really looking at not just to the values that you admire, but what are your core values, the ones that you really live by, the ones that kind of help drive your decisions, because those are the things that should be driving the decisions on your business as well. And we're going to start with the list has like about 100 values in there, and you have an opportunity to add more. And through the exercise, you're going to whittle it down, maybe down to 10, 5. and you're going to pick the top two because the top two are the ones that you can create a framework around. If you have 20 values and you have to make a decision and you have to check in on 20 different values on how this decision impacts them, it's going to be a little unwieldy. But when you find those two core values, now it becomes a pretty easy question. And you'll see how I was able to apply this in my own business towards the end of 2025. All right, so here is a sampling of the list. And I'll tell you what happened for me. It may be a little bit different for you. Maybe my ideas will help you. Maybe you'll find your own path. But the first thing I did is I went through and just circled the obvious ones. And I think there's probably about 20. And then through some prioritization, I was able to whittle it down to about 5. Things got a little bit harder then, but I have a couple different techniques that I can use in order to further prioritize. One of the things that I often will do is compare two items and say, which of those two is the most important to me? And then take that top one and compare it to something else and compare those items, which of those two? So for example, I can take a look at belonging and making a difference. So pretty high on the list. So making a difference in belonging. We'll say that those are 1 and 2. Now I can say, okay, well, let's look at belonging compared to patients. No, belonging's number 2. Okay, now let's look at belonging compared to integrity is not showing on this list, but it is here. Like, no, integrity is more important. Is integrity more important than making a difference? Actually, at this point, it doesn't matter. But as you can see, by just comparing two and saying which of those two, and then you keep pairing things off until you get to the last two. By the way, one trick I've used, and you could do this, pop this list into ChatGPT and write a prompt that says, I want to compare 2 items at a time to prioritize my favorite, and then match it with something else, and we'll repeat the exercise until we know the top 2. I've done that with ChatGPT. It works. It's amazing. But that's just one item. But the goal is to get to those 2, because again, that's how you come up with a framework for decision making that works. Now, with the nearly 5,000 possible pairings out there, yours is going to be uniquely yours. Now, you're going to hear a lot about mine because that's how I'm able to kind of talk through this in a way that hopefully will make sense to you, and that's the integrity and making a difference. I will add one more item on integrity. Part of the reason it landed at top was because a lot of the other values to me were expressed through integrity. So, honesty, well, that's part of integrity. So that kind of helped me narrow it down. Now, again, integrity is probably not going to be yours. Like statistically, like yours are not going to look like mine. So I really hope that you go through this exercise and find the things that are truly relevant to you that really drive your passion. All right, once you have your 2 values, then we can start to test them. We can say, okay, looking at these values, do these really drive the decisions that I make? So let's think about my decision to start a bookkeeping business. Integrity, yes, I had the experience. My first career was in accounting, and I have the education, I have the experience, and it was something I could do to make a difference. Okay. Um, do I feel it viscerally when that value is threatened? Yes. So, and a good example is maybe that client that isn't a great fit for me. I don't feel like I can make a difference in their life. They're going to push back too much, or maybe they're too far advanced, or whatever it is. It's like, I can't help you in the way you deserve to be helped. So I'm not sure this is a good fit. And I feel it. I can't, there have been a couple clients that I have sidelined because I could not support them and keep my integrity. And then does everything else I care about really fit under this value? And yes. So when I look back at my values of making a difference and integrity, yes, everything else I care about fits under this value. So we saw that one of my intentions was connection. You could almost think of that as value. Yes, that's part of making a difference. So these really kind of help hone that these are the right values. Now, with these values, it really serves as a compass. So when I think about my business, should I hire help? Absolutely. The fact I haven't hired a VA yet really means I'm slightly out of my integrity zone for myself. But I'm starting to think about what would I have a VA do? How would I find that VA? How would I support them in getting started? So I haven't done the hiring yet, but I recognize the need and I'm starting to think through what that looks like. Should I launch this offer? If it's a 50,000 coaching plan, no, 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 no. So that really is in alignment with my integrity or making a difference for this, what I offer, for the skill set that I have, for what's moving forward. Should I take on this client? So we already talked about that a lot. And there might be two reasons why I don't take on a client. One might be, you know what, they're really not going to um, be able to work well within this path. It's not going to serve them well. Or maybe they're going to push back, and therefore it's going to be uncomfortable for both of us in order for this to be successful. And I don't want to take myself that far away from my integrity. And then raising my prices. So you already heard the example there where I was challenged on this about my prices. It's like, no, making a difference to me means making services that are affordable to the bootstrapping solopreneur. And I think this is the right price point. So for now, this is what it is. Doesn't mean I'm not going to revisit it. It's just that that value helps me understand this is the sweet spot for me at this time. All right, so putting these values to work. So talking a big game here, but the truth is, I towards the end of 2025, I realized a couple things were happening. One is I wasn't making the difference that I wanted to make in the world. And that is specifically with the bootstrapping solopreneur just getting started. Is it's like I had a mentorship program that's $200 a month. Most bootstrapping solopreneurs aren't going to be able to fork over $200 a month to get started. And I understand that. I've been there just recently. And I wasn't being true to myself. I was really focused on the bookkeeping portion of my business, which I think is important. And I love getting solopreneurs out of their spreadsheets and into solutions that make sense. But it's not the only thing I want to do. This Thrive Hive, this bringing a community together, building a support system around each other, that's what really fuels my passion. When I look at my typical work week, when I get the most excited is before a monthly Hive session. And so that made me realize it's like, okay, how do I build this part of the business so that I'm really being true to myself? And that to me is integrity. So I had two big decisions to make. One was I created an affordable path for Thrive Hive. I'm like, people don't have to have one-on-one mentoring in order to get something out of these 21 steps or even the experience and the community of building. And so I created this path that gives you, okay, let's do courses to replace the mentoring, but keep the community. So you still get to come to the buzz sessions, you still have access to our community and discussion boards, and you have an opportunity to meet and learn from each other. One of the things that I envision with Thrive Hive is that, this is the place where, hey, I just launched my website. Can somebody go take a look at it? That's what the community is about. It's the place you can show up and ask the questions that you might not quite want to ask in a networking session, if you know what I mean. And then the other thing I want to do is really shift my message. Earlier in 2025, I'm like, it's too confusing to talk about Thrive Hive and bookkeeping. So I'm just going to focus on bookkeeping. And you know what? Again, not really being true to myself. So now, instead of 5 posts a week that are about bookkeeping, I'm going to focus on 3 or 4 balance posts. And it's going to be more like the message that I want to shift and send in 2026 is not, I'm a bookkeeper who coaches. That was the 2025 line, but I'm a mentor who also does books. Because when it comes to actually doing the activity supporting a solopreneur through delegation, bookkeeping is the skill that I have that I can lean into. Anything else, I'm going to help them find the right resource. I'm not trying to boil the ocean of everything it takes to start a small business. All right, so this is the exercise. Since this is a recorded session, you can pause the video as soon as I get through this little intro and do it now, or if you want to come back to it, that's fine too. And so through this QR code, or I've also included the URL, and we will get the links within the description of this video as well. You can go ahead and download the list and this exercise. Now you will see that her exercise takes you through more of that thinking about your values and how they apply to your life. So I provided some high level stuff, but I'd say, start with finding your top two values, which it starts here. Refer to the list on page 3 and identify your two values. So you'll start there. And then for the rest of this, I think it's a 3-page exercise, do what makes sense for you. Now, one of the things I was really excited about as I was preparing for this session is that you can download this exercise free. There's no email capture. She's making it available, and that's a great thing. So go grab the exercise and use that. All right, and then what to do next? So take 20 minutes, and again, you can do that now, or you pause the video, come back to it, or maybe you want to save this for, a Sunday morning reflection. That's entirely up to you. But do the exercise, find your two values, and then test them against two real decisions that you're facing today. So maybe you are thinking about hiring, or maybe you have a client on the line that you're not so sure about, or maybe it's an offer that you're considering, and see how these values help you go through that decision. And then the other thing finally is to make your check-in question. So whenever you have a decision, it's really quick and easy for you to go to, does it A and B? And so for me, it's like, am I acting with integrity? Is this going to make a difference? Easy enough. All right, here's an extra little fun exercise that you might find valuable as well. We'll call it the 75th birthday test. And this is a take on a guided meditation I did once, like imagine your funeral. Nah, we want something happier than that. So imagine it's your 75th birthday and it's also your retirement celebration. Now, the reason I picked this age is because I imagine a business that I enjoy doing so much that I don't want to retire at 65. Like I'm going to keep on, going. Like I'm making a difference. I enjoy what I'm doing. I have fun when I show up to work. I have my business built in a sustainable way. So if I want to take a month off, I can do that. If all of these things are true, easy to work through my 75th year, because when you're doing something you love, you don't work a day in your life, right? All right. So that's why it's the 75th birthday test and a retirement celebration. So envision this party. And who's there? You got clients, employees, your family, your friends, your colleagues, your partners, like everybody is there to celebrate you. And they're getting ready to do toast and they're talking to each other. What are they thanking you for? What are they saying? What are they going to miss? And really, this helps you understand, how do you want people to perceive you? How do you want to be remembered? And then finally, you can get to the final question of like, how did you protect your values along the way? And how did they help you make decisions so that when you came to this critical point in your life, it's a really good, warm, fuzzy feeling, and you leave the career knowing that you were in alignment with your values and that the people around you appreciated that for who you are and what you did. All right, so another fun little, maybe take 10 minutes in a quiet room meditation kind of thing, or if you're a journaler, like however this is going to help you reflect and remember, this is something that I think could really give you a lot of understanding about what's really important to you and your why and how to do this business. All right, so free gifts. So your free gift for this summit is 90 Days Thrive Hive, which includes the 21 steps. So you'll get the community, you'll get the courses, you'll get one session with me to talk about the 21 steps and where you are. And so you can go ahead and sign up for that at any time. Once you claim the offer and then there's a checkout process, then you should get an email shortly after that with your next steps in order to come into the community and get your 21 steps and all of those things. So 90 days access, which is longer than the typical trial, because I really want you to have more of an opportunity to see how this community works. And for the VIP gift, that is a year access with a little bit more deeper dive with me. So if you have the VIP, you get a year access. But when it comes to the coaching portion, is we will put together a planning page for you based on the 21 steps and some information that you give me about your business. And then you'll have a page out there with a Kanban board, you'll have your mission, your vision, and you'll be able to go back to that at any time and say, okay, what's the next thing that I need to focus on in order to move my business forward? Now, the 21 steps in that Kanban board, 21 steps. Again, this is just a roadmap. You can change course at any time. You might have 30 steps or you might whittle it down to 10. It doesn't matter. It's your planning board. All right. So I think that's it for me. Again, remember, business should serve your life, not replace it. If you can't step away and go on vacation, if you have to miss your, kid's soccer match, any of those things, then there might be an opportunity to refocus your business, and coming back to your values will help you do that in a meaningful way. So you can learn more about Thrive Hive through thrive at beyondalignedbooks.com. I'd love for you to connect with me on LinkedIn. And in here, a picture of me in Valencia, Spain. Just took this last week. Yes, I am doing this session from Spain because part of my value system was building a business that I could run from anywhere so that I could do more travel and live life in a way that helps me align and thrive every day. And that's what I wish for you as well. So thank you for joining me.